today we're going to discuss 7 reasons why AI should not replace your human therapist. This could potentially be a divisive topic, so I will touch on some important points. However, as always, welcome your feedback, thoughts, insights, and dialogue around this because this is ever changing and ever evolving. But first, I'd like to acknowledge some of the benefits that AI chatbots can bring. One is really ease of access. Individuals accessing these chatbots are really only limited by their own internet connection or their AI access plan too, and that many people actually report the AI bots to be somewhat helpful or even really helpful. They can provide some pragmatic solutions and even some emotional support in some cases. And 3, these AI bots can actually be a great entry point for individuals who struggle with really deep shame or judgment or have other emotional hurdles that have been a big factor in delaying their process in their desire to connect with a human therapist and work towards whatever their own wellness goals may be. So, this could be a great entry point to feel understood and validated and to ease them into the therapeutic process. And while that can be helpful to feel validated, there's plenty of nuance to that. I think we'll get into that in a little bit. But a few, not an all inclusive list of downfalls with the AI bots as therapists include some of the following. 1, there really is no replacement for human connection, voice to voice, feeling the energy of another person's presence, their authentic empathy, their warmth, their compassion. The therapist in the room or even over the screen, sitting with you and witnessing and holding your pain, your anger, your grief, and being with a human who is trained and experienced to do this and can pick up on your body language and your nonverbal cues, can co-regulate with you, sit with the silence that has the power to heal and to tap into greater insights. A machine lacks this depth. AI simply can't sense tone, shifts in your voice tonation, those subtleties, breath changes, facial expressions, body language, lots of other nuances that are nonverbal, which are all really essential parts of the therapeutic process. The machine can memorize patterns and perhaps even say the programmed empathetic thing. However, going back to this connection and this experience, to feel the depth that this other human, this human therapist brings to the session is a whole different experience than being with the machine, no matter how solid the programming may be. 2, apps and bots, many of them, are now calling themselves therapists. And there are very few laws as of August 2025 in the United States preventing them from doing so. I believe Illinois is so far the only state in the US to ban this practice. And you may ask, why is this important? Why does it matter? Well, I think a lot of reasons, so we won't get into all of them. But one reason, we live in a world with an excess of information, so it's really hard to know who or what to trust. And at best, misinformation and confusion happens, and at worst, real harm can occur and has occurred on both small and larger scales. This is already happening, and it's not okay to misrepresent ourselves, especially when somebody is putting their trust and vulnerability in our hands. It's irresponsible and harmful. Reason number three why AI shouldn't replace your human therapist, which tied with point number one, therapy is relational, not transactional. Healing for all of us happens in relationship, not through information alone. Healing is heart based, it is feeling based. Logic helps, but logic is not healing. Information is not healing. As we mentioned earlier, a chatbot may provide you with some feel good validation to connect with some of those feelings. And that's often an important piece of human therapy. However, the chatbot lacks the ability to pick up on patterns within you that are more subtle, but very powerful in terms of where you or another person, client, may be unknowingly a little fearful to go in terms of your own healing, growth, or self discovery. And a good human therapist will likely pick up on this. The therapeutic relationship is grounded in deep trust and attunement, which are things that AI just cannot form. You're not just sharing problems, you're being witnessed, held, supported in a compassionate and growth focused space. Point number four, AI lacks nuance in trauma, identity, cultural context, and other important factors about your individual experience. You or somebody else probably won't share all the ins and outs of your entire story with that AI chatbot, as you probably don't see every detail to be relevant. However, a human therapist will likely notice at some point something important missing from your story, from your history, that feels relevant to what's occurring in sessions or something that you're feeling stuck in. And the therapist will likely explore this further, which could open up a whole new world for you. The chatbot doesn't have the capacity to pick up on those nuances. Therapy isn't a one size fits all, and AI can dangerously oversimplify. Therapists are trained to honor your unique background, your cultural and relational experiences, your family history, and lots of other relevant details with sensitivity and nuance that, again, AI cannot do. AI misses microaggressions, trauma cues, important identity markers, which can actually lead to harmful or invalidating suggestions. Chatbots don't have the nuance to pick up on a lot of these subtleties that a human therapist does. Point number five, and why AI chatbot should not replace your human therapist. Now, your human therapist is ethically and legally bound to protect your information. Licensed professionals follow HIPAA laws, confidentiality laws, and other standards, as well as seek consultation around clinical boundaries that are not always black and white. AI platforms can and often do, very often do, collect, store, and share your data. And not just your logistical data like name, age, but also all the ins and outs and all the details. Now, they might not attach it to your name. However, these policies are often very unclear. It's a lot of jargon, and there is a large potential, at best, for misuse. On the back end, there are more and more therapists choosing to use AI tools for help with note taking or other clerical support, which is a big part of our job, and most of us don't love that part of our job. While this is a personal or organizational choice, and I respect everybody's freedom to choose how they practice, And I understand the appeal of easing some of the burden of this documentation. However, the clinician or the organization, whoever's making that decision, needs to be extremely diligent to read all the fine print and not just read, but read to understand, which is probably the biggest challenge. The fine print of that contract with these AI tools, as the majority of these platforms, they will and already are taking this information from those sessions and using it to train chatbots, as well as using this data for power and influence in ways that most of us aren't even privy to, but could be used at scale to influence and manipulate, and are already being used in things such as marketing, especially for some of these larger platforms. They're really utilizing all these insights into people's deep feelings and thought processes and how that influences marketing and capitalism. I'll leave that up to you. But this could be a conversation for another day. So we can return to more of these macro concerns. And if that's something that you're interested in and you feel like this would be helpful, let me know. Comment below and we can go there. Different video for a different day. A sixth reason why you shouldn't replace your human therapist with an AI chatbot is that therapists adapt to your needs in real time. It's co-created and ever evolving. It's not static or scripted. A skilled therapist will adjust their approach in response to your emotions, your progress, maybe some setbacks, and even your goals and how those goals may shift and change. They flow and mold with you. A good therapist will do that. AI follows more of a script. It follows rules. Whatever that training data provided, that's the limit that it has. It will not grow with you in a flexible, intuitive way. There's more to be said about this, but again, I think perhaps for another video. Reason number 7, why you shouldn't replace your human therapist with an AI chatbot. Human therapists invest their time and their money and their compassion and passion into the profession, the majority of us. And we're held accountable to licensing bodies and other boards, professional ethics, and client outcomes. The majority of therapists are in this field because we're passionate and we deeply care about other human beings. And we're invested in the process, in your process. We're invested in you. AI is not accountable to you or anybody else. So if it gives you harmful or misguided input, there's little, if any, motivation or even ability to repair that damage. Only perhaps whoever is financially benefiting off of that. That is arguably the only motivating factor in terms of your process and your outcomes. So while AI may offer insight or coping strategies, it can't hold your story. It can't offer warmth and energetic exchange or pick up on the nuanced nonverbals. And there are so many nuanced nonverbals and unspoken truths of your experiences. Your growth and pain deserve a human witness to hold that with honor, compassion, and trust. At the heart of therapy is this truth. You matter, not as data, but as a whole feeling, energetic being, as a person, a human being, not a human doing, not a data mine, a feeling person. I think there's an ongoing and ever-growing need for constant dialogue around this. So AI is not the enemy. It can be a tool. But AI is not a replacement for real human connection. So if you find yourself desiring some deeper emotional support and you have the ability, whether that's time resources, financial resources, insurance, whatever your situation is, even emotional capacity right now, reach out to somebody trained to sit with your pain and to compassionately be in your presence, not simply a machine to analyze your words. I deeply appreciate the time you've spent with me today in connecting to unravel this divisive topic. I welcome differing opinions, experiences, points of view, and encourage open and respectful dialogue. So please feel free to engage in that below. And with much gratitude, until next time, take good care.